Hello and welcome to India Sense. I'm Gaurie, Dwivedi. India avenged the 22nd April Pahalgam massacre where 26 Indian civilians were killed with Operation Sindoor by dismantling the terror infrastructure on 9 different locations in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. And then Pakistan moved up the escalation ladder by attacking military installations across 15 Indian cities. India thwarted all these attacks, responded adequately, dismantled the air defense system in Lahore, and is now on high alert. Today, I will focus on India's strategy going forward, a defense system that worked perfectly against enemy missiles and drones, a diplomatic strategy aimed to continue to isolate Pakistan globally, and economically squeeze Pakistan to ensure it does not get the $1.3 billion IMF loan that is set to be decided on today. But first, I want to start with the big stories at this hour. India charges Pakistan with weaponizing the civil aviation space. Indian response inflicted heavy damage on Pakistan Army in response to Pakistan moving up the escalation ladder when it decided to hit 15 Indian cities and their defense installations. Details of India's Suraksha Kavach that worked perfectly against Pakistan's missiles and drones on the defense installation of 15 Indian cities. From New York to Mumbai, London to Kabul, when terror strikes, the smoke often drifts east towards Pakistan. Different attacks, same shadows. Is it coincidence or a deadly pattern? We decode Pakistan's global terror connection. Mastermind of the IC-814 airplane hijacking is dead in India's strikes against Pakistan's terror infrastructure inside Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. And the world supports India, backs New Delhi's right to defend itself after the dastardly terror attack in Pahalgam. German envoy tells Ndtv that Chancellor and Prime Minister Modi are set to speak on phone soon, with security and geopolitics likely to feature prominently in that first telephone conversation. Viewers, in the early hours of Thursday morning, India's skies were tested and they held firm. A wave of drone and missile attacks launched by Pakistan aimed to target critical military and civilian infrastructure across northern India. But thanks to a robust, multi-layered air defense shield led by the indigenous Akash missile system and the cutting-edge S-400 Triumph, those threats never ever reached their mark. At the front line was Akash, a mobile all-weather medium-range surface-to-air missile system designed by the DRDO and built by Bharat Dynamics that you can see right here. And what else is it that ensured that India's skies remain protected? Operating from launchers mounted on T-72 BMP-2 chassis or Tata's high-mobility trucks, Akash batteries integrate seamlessly into India's integrated air command system. Each Akash battery can track up to 64 targets, simultaneously engage up to 12. And that's exactly what we are talking about here. Last night, this capability was put into action, neutralizing multiple incoming aerial threats before they entered the Indian space. Complementing Akash was the Russian origin S-400 Triumph. Right there, India's drone, the Iron Drone, comprises of S-400 viewers, India's long-range strategic air defense umbrella, with its ability to detect, track and destroy threats up to 400 kilometers away and as high as 30 kilometers. The S-400 remains one of the most advanced air defense systems in the world. S-400 units deployed near key installations and population centers created overlapping protection zones, integrating with India's radar and sensor networks to intercept high-altitude, long-range attacks. The attack, launched just after 1 a.m., was swiftly countered, and India's integrated counter-UAS grid, aided by Akash and S-400 systems, responded in real time. Swarms of drones and missile salvos aimed at 15 locations were intercepted. In Lahore, a Pakistani air defense system was also destroyed in India's precise retaliatory action. India's layered air defense strategy, from the tactical Akash to the strategic S-400, has once again proven its readiness and resilience. With indigenous innovation and strategic imports working side by side, the Indian Air Force continues to safeguard the nation's skies day and night. In fact, before we move any forward, I'm going to now talk about and play out these important sound bites, viewers, which essentially are talking about what exactly happened, India's narration, the fact that there's been a lot of miscommunication, misinformation from the Pakistani side is something that India has countered. And on your screens are the two women leading India's charge, India's voices. I'm going to first play out Wing Commander Vayamika Singh, and then you're also going to hear from Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri busting each and every lies by Pakistan. Listen in.
Pakistan did not close its civil airspace despite it launching a failed unprovoked drone and missile attack on 7th May at 8:30 hours in the evening. Pakistan is using civil airliners as a shield, knowing fully well that its attack on India would elicit a swift air defense response. This is not safe for the unsuspecting civil airliners, including the international flights, which were flying near IB between India and Pakistan. During a high air defense alert situation in the Punjab sector, as you have seen, the airspace on the Indian side is absolutely devoid of civil air traffic due to our declared closure. However, there are civil airlines flying the air route between Karachi and Lahore. Indian Air Force demonstrated considerable restraint in its response, thus ensuring safety of international civil carriers.
The Gurdwara in Poonch in particular was attacked by Pakistan, and some local members of the Sikh community, including a Ragi of the Gurdwara, lost their lives in this incident. Pakistani claims that they did not target or attack any religious place. Instead of owning up to these attacks, Pakistan made the preposterous and outrageous claim that it was the Indian Armed Forces and the Indian Air Force that was targeting cities like Amritsar and trying to put the blame on Pakistan.
The first wide-angle story on the show. Attacks like Pahalgam are not born in caves, viewers. They are born in air-conditioned conference rooms. And I'll tell you why. Because terror attacks are made possible by the financial oxygen that's pumped by global lenders who refuse to open their eyes to the kind of terror infrastructure, the terror apparatus that Pakistan continues to fund, continues to build. How is that made possible? This report decodes that for you. As the world grapples with terror emanating from Pakistan, Islamabad seems to be thriving on global handouts. In the shadows of terror, Islamabad plays its most polished role, the beggar in a blazer. Even as it orchestrates bloodshed in Kashmir, it shows up in Washington with spreadsheets and sob stories. Pakistan joined the IMF and the World Bank in 1950, and since then the World Bank has supported Pakistan with 25 bailouts. Presently, the portfolio includes 54 projects with a total commitment of $15.7 billion. But let's be clear, these dollars don't build schools or hospitals. They build bunkers, they fund silence, and they fuel Pakistan's real engine, its army and the terror infrastructure it shields. Pakistan's latest defense budget is a 14.5% increase over its last one. In a nation that cannot light its cities or feed its children, it seems like a stretch to mindlessly pump billions into its defense apparatus. Every bailout becomes a subsidy for Pakistan's war machine, a global investment in destruction. But after Pahalgam terror attack, India has decided to act. New Delhi is stepping forward, voting against the IMF's latest lifeline to Pakistan. A red line has been drawn. For decades, the world has rewarded Pakistan for failure, for violence, for terror. But there has been no reform, no remorse. Now there will be accountability. $1.3 billion of IMF loan is set to be sanctioned to Pakistan. Yet another bailout. Where will it go? This report told you. New Delhi is doing everything possible to ensure that that lifeline, that financial lifeline is squeezed. And it should be, as Pahalgam and what has happened since then is a wake-up call for the world. Well, viewers, from New York to Mumbai and London to Kabul, when terror strikes, the smoke often drifts east. Different attacks, same shadows. Is it coincidence or is it a deadly pattern? Let's unpack Pakistan's global terror connection. First up, the November 2008 Mumbai attacks. India's financial capital bleeds for 60 hours. 166 dead, hundreds injured. The attackers, well, trained, armed and directed by Lashkar-e-Taiba. The plan pieced together in Pakistan. Islamabad played innocent. Still, the trail didn't lie. Ajmal Kasab was caught and revealed the entire nefarious plot that was hatched and executed by Islamabad. Then comes London, 7th of July 2005. 4 coordinated blasts, 52 lives lost. The bombers were homegrown Brits, but they made a deadly pilgrimage to Pakistan. There in the tribal badlands, they found radical sermons and maybe something far worse. Proof that what starts in the mountains doesn't stay there is what this was all about. Then the 2006 transatlantic aircraft plot. Now on to that, the plot that banned liquids on flights forever. Foiled just in time. The mastermind, Rashid Rauf, a British Pakistani operating from deep inside Pakistan. The plan was transatlantic, but the routes ran straight through Rawalpindi. Next up, May 2010, Times Square, New York. A smoking SUV inches from disaster. Faisal Shehzad, a Pakistani American, admitted it all. He trained with the Tehreek-e-Taliban in Waziristan. It was terror exported straight from Pakistan's backyard. Then comes June 2007, Scotland hit hard. A jeep packed with fuel rammed into Glasgow airport. Investigations traced ideological and possible training links back to radical elements inside Pakistani borders. The fingerprints may have been smudged, but the scent lingered. 2014, gunmen stormed the Indian consulate in Herat in Afghanistan. The attackers, well, believed to have crossed from Pakistan, likely backed by Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. Different battlefields, same backstage. And then, of course, Osama bin Laden, the poster boy of global terrorism. Where was he found? In Abbottabad, the Pakistani army cantonment, just a stone's throw away from the military academy. Hiding for years in plain sight or kept safe in shadows? Well, only the Pakistani generals know that. But either way, the world saw the writing on the wall. Mumbai, London, New York, Kabul. Attack after attack, the needle keeps swinging back to one place, one state. Patterns are chilling, the questions louder than ever. You've seen the dots, viewers. About time you connect them. I'm going to slip into a short break, come back with more on the other side. Stay with India Sense. Viewers, justice speaks in thunder. India's Operation Sindoor has not only avenged its fallen, but struck a blow against the very heart of global terror. Abdul Rauf Azhar, the ghost of Kandahar, the butcher behind Daniel Pearl's beheading, is no more. The message: you can run, but you cannot hide from justice. And this report tells you exactly why.
He was the snake in the grass, Abdul Rauf Azhar, the shadowy terrorist. behind the 1999 IC-814 hijack, the Pathankot carnage, and the chilling Parliament attack. But on the 8th of May, the clock struck zero. In a thunderous message wrapped in steel and precision, India's Operation Sindoor brought the hammer down. 9 locations, 1 goal. To cut the head off the terror hydra thriving in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Among the dead, Rauf Azhar, a man whose fingerprints stained every major jihadi plot against India. And chillingly, the invisible hand in the brutal beheading of American journalist Daniel Pearl. The dots connect. Azhar orchestrated the Kandahar hijacking, forcing India to release Omar Sheikh, Pearl's eventual killer. That release became a devil's deal that cost Pearl his life in 2002. A journalist, a truth seeker, executed for daring to pull back the curtain on Pakistan's duplicity. And now, the Reaper calls on Rauf Azhar. India's jet struck deep, turning Bahawalpur's terror HQ into a tomb of jihad. Masood Azhar may mourn his family, but the world sees through crocodile tears. For decades, Pakistan's soil has been a nursery for snakes, trained to strike across the border. But this week, India showed it can and will burn the nest. The world watched. The world applauded. In the war against terror, India didn't blink. Pakistan, on the other hand, buried its secrets beneath smouldering rubble.
Operation Sindoor is a reminder, viewers, that for every Daniel Pearl, there is a reckoning. For every hijacking and terror attack, there will be a day of justice. And India, with spine of steel and eyes wide open, has shown the world how that justice is delivered. Top-wise segment on the show this week. Exclusive chat with the Ndtv was German envoy Dr. Philipp Ackermann. He said that India is backed by the world. Pahalgam is a terror attack that shook the conscience not just of India but of the world, and the global community understands that efforts need to be taken to tackle terrorism. Listen in. Hello and welcome to a very special interview today with Dr. Philipp Ackermann. He is the ambassador of Germany in India. He speaks to Ndtv at a time when there is great political upheaval, challenges in India and around the world as well. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to Ndtv.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So we speak at a time when India is at a state of heightened preparedness, and the security apparatus is on full preparation right now. I would like to first start by asking you your official reaction, your statement on the developments that have unfolded in the last 24 to 36 hours.
So I think what we should start with is, saying how shocked and how, perturbed we still are by the terrorist attack in Pahalgam on 22nd of April. I think that's the starting point, and you might have seen that the German government then has really showed a very, very high degree of solidarity right away, because we feel that this is one of the most perfidious terrorist attacks we've seen in the last years, and I think it is a disgrace, and it is a terrible, terrible happening, which our hearts go out to the families of those who lost their loved ones, and we are really still under shock about this event. Now, after this, the tension has unfolded, and we have been following what happened as much as we can. Information is not easy to get, but I think what we are hoping for now is that at some stage diplomacy will come in the game again, and we'll have the beginning of a de-escalation. I think my conviction is that the government of India, but also the government of Pakistan, have no interest in evolving this crisis into a huge, full-fledged military action, and I think that the world is looking with great attention to what happens here. At the end of the day, we need de-escalation in order to avoid another crisis in a time full of crises. Actually, you look everywhere and you see a very, very tense situation in the world. My experience with the Indian government is that it is a very reasonable, internationally extremely involved government that wants to be seen as a government that brings peace rather than conflict. And my trust is that this government will prevail with this attitude also in the future.
The Operation Sindoor that India launched, after that it did speak to important stakeholders around the world. In fact, Dr. Jaishankar has been in touch with his counterpart in Germany as well. He's reached out to German leaders as well and communicated that India responded to the Pahalgam terror attack that you mentioned about, sir. And since then, Pakistan has escalated the tensions in the last 24 hours. It has attacked 15 cities in India. The military installations were the targets. All those were thwarted by India. But those missiles and drones, those are there. And that really increased the escalation suddenly in the conflict. Your response to that in the wake of what Pakistan did. And then, of course, India responded.
Yeah, the interesting, you mentioned that the phone conversation, I have to tell you that it was an interesting phone conversation with the German foreign minister who had taken oath one day before this phone conversation. And there is a tradition of Germany going to France as in the first day, French and German cooperation is like no other in the world. So whenever there is a new chancellor, there is a new foreign minister, people go to France right away. So the foreign minister went to Paris, got in the car with his French counterpart, and in the car they phoned Dr. Jaishankar together. So this is maybe the first phone call he made in his new function together with the French foreign minister, and shows also how big an importance we attach to India and what happens in India.
So the first foreign conversation of the German foreign minister
was with Dr. Jaishankar together with the French counterpart next to each other in a car. And that shows, how seriously we take India and how, attentively we observe what's happening on the ground. So, as I said before, we have followed as much as we can the development during the last days. You are right when you say it has a new level of escalation is there. That's certainly true. But we still do hope that, a reason will come and say, that every government concerned will, try to walk on the way towards a de-escalation. I think that's what is needed now.